Welcome. I am Mark Lambert, the Director of the Archives for the GLO. This is our 11th symposium. Thank you, some of you, for being here. The last 13 years, there was an interregnum during COVID. I'm going to move that away. We had 10 years straight, and then, of course, the COVID interregnum, but we are glad that you are here for our 11th. We think we have a great program. I want to acknowledge the graduate students that we had yesterday. If there are any of those, would you please stand up so we can welcome you to the main event? Thank you all. Thank you for sharing your cutting-edge research. We started this symposium 13 years ago because when I became the director here, I thought the GLO Archives was kind of an undiscovered gem. I didn't even know what the GLO was when I came to work here, so I wanted to expose the GLO more to people, the GLO Archives to people, certainly get people in our building, which is why we do so many tours. Some people, avocational historians, are afraid of coming in an archive sometimes, so I wanted to get you in the actual building, see our collections, ask questions as to how it actually works, so you'll either come back or, for us, use our large amount of content online. And that seems to have worked, and we're on our 13th. The next thing I want to do is thank all our sponsors. There's many signs around here thanking them, but I want to at least read their names out loud once. Frank and Carol Holcomb, thank you for being here, Frank, and for sponsoring us again. As our platinum level sponsor, TSHA, who I think has been here since the beginning, Texas Historical Commission, the Friends of the Texas Historical Commission, thank you to our diamond level sponsors, gold level sponsors, the Bullock Museum, the Texas Map Society, the Texas State Genealogical Society, the San Jacinto Battleground Association has been here for years, hey Jeff, Texas Springport Historical Society, our gold level sponsors, the UT Department of History, the Briscoe Center at UT, the Texas A&M Department of History, the Texas Tech Department of History, the SMU Clements Center, the Texas A&M Libraries, and our silver level sponsors, who many have a exhibitor booth. Please visit with our exhibitors. Of course, to lure you in there, we have coffee and sweets over there. So go refill on your coffee and your sweets when you need to. The Austin Genealogical Society, Center for the Study of Southwest at Texas State, the Fondren Library at Rice University, the Mary and Jeff Bell Library, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Society of Southwest Archivists, Texas A&M University Press, Texas Christian University History Department, Texas State University History Department, the Porthole to Texas History, which we all love, the Texas Collection at Baylor, and the University of Texas Press. And finally, the Summerlee Foundation, who has supported us for years. Thank you all. Can we give them a round of applause, please? And since we have not met in 3 years, I wanted to say what the GLO Archives has been doing. It's actually the last 3 years now, I believe. We've been doing a lot, or lots. Those are plats in South Texas, but if you haven't been to the Capitol in the last 3 years, we are undergoing a big dig. Hopefully you've seen it. That's what it's supposed to look like eventually, but we know it's difficult to get at the Bullock Museum now. It's difficult to get to our building. My best recommendation for you these days is to call ahead about our collection and then park under the Bullock Museum. That is by far your easiest choice, but that is in a year or two what our pedestrian mall will look like, and with 2 new state office buildings. When COVID came, reared its ugly head in March 2020, we left the office for about 3 months, and we're back in the office by June, but we never saw our reference numbers go down, but we were able to handle almost all of our reference questions with the large amount of digital content that we have online. We were willing to scan things for people who couldn't come in at that point, and we have continued to do so. But because we are out of the office 2 days of the week still, please, I recommend you make an appointment so we can have the staff needed to help you And so we can make sure that what you want to look at is actually what you should be looking at, and that it's available and not off getting conserved or something like that. Digitization, we are continuing to digitize. We've been doing that for 3 years straight. More of our small document collections, impresario colonies, Spanish collection ledgers are online. We finally have the minutes of the San Felipe Ayuntamiento online, which are the only ones in existence, 1828 to 1832. The Borland-Miller Commission, which settled South Texas land dispute, and then the Visita General of 1767, which dealt with the Count of Sierra Gorda's settlements, correct? Escandon settlements. We have more maps than ever online. A couple of the things you're looking at in imagery is a notice that was in the Austin Colony papers. One of the things I really want to point out is we've acquired a couple Mexican atlases in the last 2 years that are beautiful and early mapping of, or atlases of Mexico that you will see on our website. We were accepting more donations and making acquisitions. We have a small acquisitions fund. Professor Jim Tiller put together a whole boundary atlas of Texas that discusses the boundaries during the Mexican period and early republic. The Holcomb digital map collection continues to be added to. The Cobb digital collection, which is generally a collection of railroad maps from about the postbellum, about the 1860s to about 1900. Just an amazing collection of railroad maps and immigrant guides. So you will find printed materials in our map database that will probably be helpful to you in your research. Please look at that. And if you are a private collector and would like to make your collection more widely available to Texans, we will scan it for free for you if you allow us to put it online. And if we are able to sell a copy of that map or document that goes into our preservation fund, we would be happy to do that for you. Grab one of our staff at the end of this, and we will show you how to do it. We talked about this a little yesterday, but story maps and static maps, we tried to figure out new ways in the last couple of years to make our collections more available. We have 3 story maps. Hopefully you're familiar with them, which is using an ArcGIS program and spatially orienting maps and bringing in our original documents. And I can't even, let's see, we have done one on the secularization of the missions. We've done one on the Adams-Onis Treaty boundary, and the third one is the Depage, who was a French soldier who traveled through Texas in 1783. And he had a travel guide and a map that reveals some interesting insights on, of course, a European view of the indigenous. And we had the map, and we were able to geolocate that and give some interesting information into that. And then static maps, I call these compiled maps that we use and we're providing to teachers on different things that a historical map might not have shown, the Adams-Onis Treaty, or we get rid of all the extra information in an original map and make it easier to understand. One of the big projects we've taken on the last couple of years is actually do a map book on our collection. We're hoping someday it'll be the 21st century version of Martin and Martin, who did maps of Texas in the Southwest, which has been around at least 40 years now, but I think is still the best map book in Texas right now. But it will be the view of Texas through the GLO map collection, so it won't be perfect, but it'll be, because we did early county maps and early mapping, I think it'll have a macro view, and we've been adding maps to our collection that will include, we've been doing a micro view, and then we'll be adding maps to do a macro view, such as the map on the top there, which is the Ptolemaic view of the world when the whole Western Hemisphere didn't exist or was not known to exist. The Admiral's map below it, which is one of the first maps on the discovery of the Western Hemisphere. So we're hoping to complete that next year, and UT Press will be publishing that book for us. And some of us at the GLO help out at the Alamo. The Alamo has a table here where you can get all kinds of neat information. But master planning continues. An exhibits hall and collections building will open next year. hopefully at the end of the year, an education center, which will be in the old DRT library building, and then the Alamo Museum, and their latest mock-up is on an image at the Alamo table, will open in 2026, we hope. But there have been things already changing on the Alamo campus, including a temporary 18-pounder exhibit, the Palisade exhibit, and then they're going to do a main gate exhibit. And we have been consulting with historians, some of whom are in this room, like Dr. Crisp, who I saw on Zoom a couple of weeks ago, I think, and others, and you'll recognize those names there. And I think we're adding other historians that are helping consult with us to do a master narrative that will then tie into the artifacts that are at the Alamo and items we get loaned from other places, and tell the story of the Alamo, the whole 300-year history of the Alamo in the new museum in 2026. And a recent acquisition was the Jena collection of Spanish colonial artifacts, and you'll see a couple examples of what they had in the collection: Spanish stirrups and a Migelet pistol. That was a loud P. Finally, this symposium was started to expose more people to GLO archives, but we also hoped it would be a fundraiser. We used to take in about $200,000 a year through selling reproductions of our maps and photocopy fees that we dumped straight into a restricted fund that paid for the conservation of our original resources. In the 14 years I've been at the GLO, that number has gone down to about $60,000 a year. So we've had to be creative on how to get more money to actually conserve our original resources. Hopefully you saw some of the maps yesterday that are painstakingly put back together piece by piece. The fact that you're here, you're helping us with our conservation. If we pull a profit, you can buy a map. You can even buy Christmas ornaments now. We do Christmas ornaments with cartouches pulled from our collection. And here's a sneak preview of our most recent ornament, which is a railroad map from 1854 and a choo-choo train. And in the spring, we have a fundraising session that has T-shirts as a enticement. So thank you for being here and your support to us. And that's all I'm going to talk about the GLO archives.